Good evening, folks. This is Bill Breeden. Welcome to Constellation Tour number 53. Tonight we're going to go over the Southern Celestial Hemisphere constellation Sculptor. We have Stellarium set up for October the 10th, 2020 at about 20 minutes after 10 at night, with a 60-degree apparent or true field of view with moderately light polluted skies. Sculptor is a small southern constellation, best viewed between October and December. There are no bright stars in Sculptor, so let's go over a couple of ways that you can find it. First of all, it's pretty far south, so from mid-northern latitudes it really doesn't get very far above the horizon. So we have Stellarium set up for Miami, Florida, from which in mid-October it does rise high enough, especially after 10 o'clock at night, to observe. So join me here in Miami. So we're looking south, and to find Sculptor, I'm going to look up high here in the autumn and look for the great square of Pegasus. And you can see that it's right here. And if we look straight down towards the horizon, in this part of the sky and this time of year, there really aren't any really bright stars except for one. And you're going to look for that one, and that is Fomalhaut, or Alpha Piscis Austrinus. Fomalhaut is a first magnitude star, and it's really the only bright star in this whole part of the sky. Now you can see tonight we've got these two other bright objects here, but they're planets. This is Saturn and this is Jupiter. And over to the left we also have Mars tonight, shining at a magnitude of -2.6. So on the night I'm simulating here in Stellarium, Mars is just past opposition. So if you look just above the star Fomalhaut, you'll see these three stars here in a curve. That is part of the constellation Aquarius, and the curve here represents the water jar that Aquarius is pouring water out of. So with all of that said, you can find Pegasus, the great square of Pegasus here. You can find the Aquarius water jar here just below it, and then finally the star Fomalhaut here. Now Sculptor occupies the area of the sky just to the left of Fomalhaut. So Sculptor is going to be in this region right here, and there are no bright stars there, which makes Sculptor tricky to find. So let's turn on our constellation lines. And you can see here, this is Fomalhaut, and Sculptor is right here. Let's look up a little bit higher, and you can see Aquarius and the water jar right here. And even higher up, and you get to see the great square of Pegasus. So that's one way you can find Sculptor. It's a tricky one to find because, as I said, there's really nothing in that region of the sky that stands out. You have Cetus here, the sea whale, and Cetus is known for being a large, faint constellation. In fact, this whole part of the sky here, Sculptor, Grus, Phoenix, Cetus, this is all known as the Cetus void. Pisces, Aquarius, Aries, this whole big region of sky really doesn't have any bright stars except for Fomalhaut. So this whole area is known as the Cetus void, and Sculptor is part of that area of the sky. So let's turn on our constellation boundaries, and you can see the area of the sky that Sculptor occupies. It's a pretty large constellation, considering that it is a faint, obscure southern constellation. It's actually pretty big. Let's have a look at the mythical figures. And Sculptor is actually depicted as a sculpture. So when this constellation was named, sculpturing was popular. So it was forever immortalized in the stars. And you can see here you've got Fomalhaut here, which is the fish's mouth. You have Aquarius here and the curved 3 stars here of the water jar. And then finally up higher you've got here the great square of Pegasus. Okay, so now that we can find Sculptor, let's see what there is to observe in this constellation. There is a double star, Epsilon Sculptorus. So let's do a search for that. And you can see that Epsilon Sculptorus is right on the border of Sculptor, Cetus, and Fornax. So it's right on the border. So let's have a closer look here and see just how close to the border it is. Wow, it's right on the border. Well, this is an 8th magnitude double star. So let's see if it splits. And it does. It does split. Stellarium does a pretty good job simulating that. This would probably look good through a 10mm eyepiece or so. And it's located about 90 light years from Earth. Epsilon Sculptorus. Right on the border there of Cetus, Fornax, and Sculptor. Pretty cool. Okay, let's get our bearings again, and let's try it from a dark sight. We'll see if that makes it any easier. Let's look south again and look really high up and try to find the great square of Pegasus. Here it is right here. And then we're going to look down below Pegasus and find the water jar of Aquarius along with Fomalhaut. So here's the water jar of Aquarius, and here's the water flowing out. And then here's Fomalhaut, Alpha Piscis Austrinus, or the fish's mouth. Now I like to picture Aquarius pouring the water out, and it's pouring straight down here into the fish's mouth. And it helps me remember the relationship between Aquarius and Piscis Austrinus in the sky. Okay, now since we can find Fomalhaut here, let's see if we can figure out exactly where Sculptor is. Sculptor was just to the left of Fomalhaut, so right in this area right here. There we go. As I said before, now from a dark side you can kind of see the scattering of faint stars here. See, there's of magnitude 4.4, 4.3, 4.5, 4.8, 4.3, 5.5, 5.6, 5.3. So Sculptor is a scattering here of 4th and 5th magnitude stars at best. There are 2 deep sky objects I want to share with you in Sculptor. The first one is NGC 55. Let's see, that's also a Caldwell object, Caldwell 72, known as the String of Pearls. And this is a 7.8 magnitude galaxy located 6.5 million light years away. So for a galaxy, this is actually pretty close. I mean, the Andromeda galaxy is 2.5 million light years, so this is about 2.5 times farther away than the Andromeda galaxy, and it's another edge-on spiral. Let's look at it through a 24 millimeter panoptic eyepiece, giving us a low power view. It's a nice one. This has a declination of -39 degrees. So if you're observing from mid-northern latitudes, you want to wait until late October and probably after 10 o'clock at night when Sculptor is highest in the sky. It's probably your best time to view this galaxy. If you happen to be from a more southern location, such as Miami, then you have a longer window of time to observe it. Let's see where it is in Sculptor. So it's way down here on the Phoenix border. So even from Miami at 10:30 at night on the 10th of October, it still has a little ways to rise. So if it was November instead of October, it would probably be up higher, maybe high enough to view from mid-northern latitude. So if you're not lucky enough to live in Miami, you might still get a chance to see this. It's a nice one. Here's the view through the finder. The finder gives us about a 6-degree apparent field of view, or true field of view. And a 24 millimeter panoptic eyepiece gives you a 68-degree apparent field of view, with a true field of view of just under 1 degree. Now the software here shows it as a field of view of 1.2 degrees. Now, surprised it shows it. I'm really surprised by that. I was always under the assumption that when I used a 24 millimeter panoptic, I was getting just under 1 degree. So a pleasant surprise. Yes, I am right here. Field of view 0.80 degrees. So this over here on the right shows you the field of view of the eyepiece. So down here you're seeing the field of view of the screen in Stellarium. So that's a little confusing. Okay, let's return to a naked eye view here. And I've got another galaxy I'd like to share with you, and that's NGC 253. And this one is known as Caldwell 65, also known as the Sculptor galaxy at magnitude 8. So let's have a look at this one through the finder. Another nice one. This one is 11 million light years away. And through a 24 millimeter panoptic eyepiece, it shows up really nicely. So let's see where we are in Sculptor for this one. So this one, we're in the upper parts of Sculptor. So this one This one has a declination of minus 25 degrees, so this one would actually be viewable a little bit easier from mid-northern latitudes. Okay, those are the only two deep sky objects I had to share with you in Sculptor. So this concludes my tour of Sculptor. Good night and good seeing.